All right, hi team. Something a little bit different today. Danny has been off gallivanting about the world, doing his charity work. So you just have me. But to make things slightly more interesting and a little bit more diverse, I've put Jenny, who's our producer, in front of the camera. Welcome, Jenny.
Hi.
So Jenny, outside of being the diversity hire for the fact that she actually raises or lowers our average age in the office to something less than 40, she's also been teaching us millennial speak, which I still can't do effectively. So welcome to the show, Jenny. It's nice for you to be in front of the camera instead of behind it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate for being in front of the camera today.
We figured, well, when I say we, I realised when I looked in the mirror this morning, noticing Danny wasn't going to be with us today, I thought to myself, how many followers will we lose when it's just me talking a monologue? So I decided it was time to bring Jenny forth. And when I say decided, I gave her about 5 minutes notice. So guys, don't be too hard on me or her. Actually, be as hard on me as you want to be. Don't be too hard on Jen. So Jen, look, outside of being a graduate of criminology, which in my opinion really qualifies you to do nothing more than to spend more time studying criminology. Kidding, guys.
Which is exactly what I'm doing now, actually, so you're not wrong.
Exactly, yeah. What's been your experience with police? Because I know you have one story of, I'm just going to call it idiocy.
Yeah. I think overall, I haven't had too many run-ins with the police because I don't do anything illegal, except for that one run-in. But overall, it's been, every time I have had one, it's been quite pleasant. Mainly just like RBTs, but other than that, I haven't had a big issue with them.
All right, stop the PR. What was the time that you got caught doing something you shouldn't have done?
So, when I was 17, I was on my reds and I was driving home.
Red peas. I'll just interpret for the people that are above 30 in the audience.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I was on my red peas and I was driving home from a friend's house Sunday morning. It was like 7 a.m. and I'm not usually up at that time, but I was. And I'm driving home and I'm about to pull onto the highway and there's a car in front of me. It's a Holden Commodore and it had all these antennas sticking out the back of it. And I'm sitting in my car and I'm like, what dickhead has that many antennas sticking out the back of their car? And I'm like, obviously it's not for radio, because why do you have 6? And they're so thick as well. And I'm like, oh, and I'm just thinking, are you trying to reach Mars, the aliens? Like, who are you trying to contact? And I just think this guy's super obnoxious in his Holden Commodore. Anyways, we pull onto the highway and he's driving behind me at this point.
So you've overtaken this goofy guy in the Commodore.
Yeah, so goofy. Mm-hmm. And he's pulled up behind me. I've overtaken him, he's behind me, and he starts tailgating me. So my 17-year-old brain thinks, this guy wants to drag race me. So I'm like, okay, you want to race? I was like, let's race then. So I've gunned it on the highway and I'm thinking, gotcha. And then I look in the mirror again and I just hear these sirens and these red lights start flashing behind me. And I've just gone, oh, shit. They've got me.
And it was the goofy guy in the Commodore,
yes,
right?
It was the goofy guy in the silver Holden Commodore with 6 antennas sticking out the back of his car that I thought was trying to reach Mars. And then that was my first time getting pulled over as well.
Tell me, what was the outcome of that?
So I lost my license for 6 months for speeding and then like 3 months to get my demerit points back. So a total of 9 months.
Oof.
And then I copped like a 2.5 grand. 250.
Wow. What speed did you get up to?
I think he got me at like 135, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And you're on your red P.
So I could only go 90 and then I was in a 110 zone.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. And then and my dad had to pick me up the side of the highway. Also, that was my first time getting pulled over, so I didn't actually know how to properly like pull over, and I ended up pulling over to like the middle kind of thing, and then I just moved to the right, and he was like, you're meant to go all the way to the left, and I was like, oh, sorry, my bad, girl, I don't know how to, I've never been pulled over before. But yeah, and then my dad had to pick me up on the side of the highway and I just sat there like a loser.
Jennifer.
No, ridiculous. Never done it again.
Oh, well.
Never,
Yeah.
Now, every time when it does come through my head, I just think, no. Just don't do that again.
The crazy thing is, when you're in an unmarked car as a cop, you think everybody knows, right? Everybody sees me. And especially for highway patrol cars, because they do have all the crazy aerials, which
Yeah.
they need.
Unless there's an idiot like me
Yeah.
who looks at it and goes, who are you?
Mate, very remiss of whoever taught you to drive that didn't teach you what a unmarked police car looks like.
I mean, like you said, I'm a diversity hire. My mum doesn't, she doesn't speak. Very on par with, I feel like. Very on par.
Well, and to be clear, you're the diversity hire just because you are that much younger than everybody else here. The terms, I feel like I can almost kind of understand lingo from the kids these days. I heard something on TV about the new speak of kids, and I was like, I've heard that word before. Jenny says that in the office, and I was a little bit like,
But I feel
thought
like
I'd achieved something.
Gen Z has a different lingo compared to, what's the other one? Gen Alpha, like the one younger than us.
Oh, I don't know.
Gen Alpha's got
can't
some
keep up.
other weird one. Skibbity. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, what is that?
I'm not too sure. I think you probably think the same to my lingo that
Honestly,
I
I
throw
do.
around, which
I
is,
do.
yes.
Yeah.
But then I hear them and I'm like, that's actually not a word. At least we say proper words. They just have a redefined
Okay, so
meaning.
but just before the show, Jenny said to me something about the fits. And I was like, what does that mean? She means my outfits. And when I was a cop, fits had something more to do with drug use than outfits. So,
The outfits, the fits are fitting because I only got given 5-minute notice for this podcast, but I always come in with a good fit, a good outfit.
Well, the thing we were going to do today was really more of a Q&A session, guys, because we do get a lot of questions over social media or sometimes sent to us by direct message or email and whatnot. So Jen's going to ask the questions. I'm going to answer them from my perspective. And I think it'll be a little bit interesting for some of these. So take it away. What's the first question?
Should we start off nice and strong with a message we got yesterday?
Yeah.
Don't be scared.
Yeah.
Don't be scared. So, we had a question from someone who messaged us on Instagram. The question is, I am a 31-year-old transgender woman currently in the process of applying to the WA Police Force. I just listened to your podcast of the Q&A episode where you gave advice to the potential probationary constables. I want to ask for some advice along the lines of, aside from the head down, shut up, listen and work from a probie, I'm expecting some pushback due to being trans. So do you have any advice on how to push through that and prove that my gender identity does not impact my ability to become a good police officer?
Wow. Okay. Obviously, I don't have a lot of experience with the trans community, but I think there was one person I came across in the cops that was trans, or at least everybody said they were. And when you kind of picked up on that vibe, you're like, oh, I can see elements of that. But what it really comes down to is no one gives a shit, right? Not really. And if they do, there's probably greater issues there for them. And what I mean by this is that, for me particularly, on a personal standpoint, I don't care what your gender is. I don't care what you look like. I don't care if you look like Chewbacca from Star Wars. Do the job. And so what I mean by that is, when you're going to you get brought into the emergency room, you've been in a car accident, someone needs to do brain surgery on you. Do you want the very best being that can do it? Or do you want the person that's like a white guy, an Asian girl, a a trans person, whatever? I guarantee you, virtually no one cares. Give me the best person for that job. If you're being cut out of a car that's hanging off a cliff, do you care if it's VRA or SES or fire and rescue or what they look like or what uniform? No, you don't care. Do the job to the very best of your ability. But don't make it about your gender. And what I mean by that is, if you go in and just say, I'm here to do a job, I'm here to do it to the best of my ability, no one's going to care, really. There's going to be a few dickheads, right? But just put them to the side and do the job. And you will get respect for the fact that you put up with the bullshit, you went past and you got through that, you did the job correctly, and you don't make it a look at me, I'm transgender and I'm, all about, transgender issues and doing whatever. No, just go to work, do the job for everybody. The community is extremely diverse. While there can be racism in the police, my personal feeling is that the average cop has seen so many jerks from all elements of life that the average cop doesn't really care, because they take you for being a good person. They're judging you on how good you are as a cop and how good you are as a person. Are you a good person to have in your corner, backing you up? Are you a good person that doesn't do stupid stuff, that doesn't bring trouble upon them, that doesn't create more work through their stupidity and cause issues and whatever else? You come to work and do your job, that's it. Look, whether you want to tell people you're transgender or not, I can't really say. But I think if you want acceptance, don't bring it up. Just, you are who you are. Just as people that identify as being male are male and people that identify as being female are female. Like, I don't walk into I don't even have on my preferred pronouns on my signature block or anything for my emails, because I don't think it matters. I am who I am. And if someone called me a she, her, well, I'm like, you're stupid. Clearly I'm a male, I identify as a male. I don't need to announce that to the world, because my quality as a human being isn't about that. And I think that's ultimately what it comes down to. Just be a good cop. Jenny's looking at me like she's a bit worried.
No, I think I have a question in regards to, I guess I can understand where she's coming from. Let's say because I know in our previous episodes, I've listened to you guys talk about how there's poor leadership in the police force. Hypothetically, let's say if she has a leader or someone in an above ranking who does have a problem with her being transgender, is there any advice that you would give to her on how she should interact or go about that certain situation?
Look, good question, tough question without knowing the dynamics. And I've never worked with, I think was she going for Waypole? Yeah. Yeah, so I've never worked in WA. I know a couple of ex-guys from WA, but I would say there's a lot to be said for trying to address problems head on. And just go to that supervisor or that person and say, look, this is me, that's who I am, that's who I identify as, but that doesn't define me as a police officer. And you know what, I'm trying to do the best job I can. If you've got a problem with me personally and the job I'm doing, then bring it up to me. If not, then why are we having a conversation, kind of thing. Sometimes cops, you have to have a thick skin as a cop, because there's almost no humour that's off the table. What you can say in the police force in humour is so far different to what you can say in the corporate world, because what you experience day to day is just at a whole other level, and you deal with that often through dark humour and just, you see something, you say something, you make a connection. There's not a lot of space for political correctness in the cops, but that doesn't mean you should be ostracised or targeted either. And you've got to understand and really say to people, look, I find that offensive, that offends me for these reasons. And if you're being, honestly, if you're just being a wet paper bag that's easily offended, people will either tell you or they'll isolate you. But if there's a genuine reason why you feel offended, and there's a lot of people just go, oh, sorry, I didn't realise that. I've offended people that I didn't mean to, and I just thought I was joking. But when they brought that up to me, I was like, oh, I didn't mean to offend you. I just thought we were talking crap, but totally fine. I'm down with that. But look, the trans population, I think, from the last census was people that identified on the census was somewhere around the 1 to 2% of the population. So it's also not a large percentage of the population you're going to see in the policing community. So you're potentially going to be a little bit of a trailblazer, but with that comes its own issues. So good luck with it. I hope you get through. I hope you get in and it goes the way you want it to. The community needs good cops.
Awesome. Next question we have is from our YouTube, actually. Someone said, "Hey boys, would love to see both of your insights. Unfortunately, I cannot speak on Danny's behalf, but would love to see your insights into police officers being criminally charged and the effect it has on officers."
I think they were specifically talking about a police officer that was
yes, Bo
being charged with murder. Interesting thing about that particular instance, I heard some scuttlebutt, and it could be absolute BS, could be truth, I don't know. So take
I'm
from this
actually
what you will.
not too familiar with that case.
You're not?
No.
Damn millennials.
I'm not even a millennial. I'm not 30. Guys, I'm not 30.
I don't know what you are. What generation are you?
I'm Gen Z. I'm 21.
Gen Z, who knows? Look, all I know is I'm Gen X, and that was the best generation.
Okay, whatever you say. Whatever you say.
Gen Y didn't do too bad either.
There's a Gen Y.
Yeah, there's just... Anyway. So that was the... Bo Lamar Condon is the gentleman that's been... I use that word loosely. Is the individual that's been charged in the murder of the the gay couple in Paddington.
Oh, yeah. I do know...
Yeah,
it just clicks.
Light bulb.
Sorry guys, I don't remember street names, don't remember normal names. I just know about faces and yeah.
The standard Gen Z?
Yeah, so standard. Yeah.
So look, honestly, I think it really pisses the cops off. Yeah. And the annoying thing about this, and this is what I was going to get to before we took that slight deviation onto generations, was that I heard this rumour, and like I said, it is just rumour, that there was actually a number of people went to paper for that guy when he was in the academy and said, this guy is not the right fit for the policing. He will bring policing into disrepute. He is highly unsatisfactory and in a number of areas. And that guy played the diversity card saying, oh, I'm just being targeted because I'm gay. Now, let me tell you, there is an awful lot of homosexual police officers, and very good ones at that have made a great career for themselves, and they're openly gay, right? That's not it. And I would say I'm good friends with a couple of guys that I know that are gay guys that are in the cops that do really good work, and no one brings it up, right? It's kind of like it's not a thing. But he said, oh no, I'm just being targeted because I'm gay. No, just you can be gay and you can be bad at something just the same as you can be heterosexual and you can be bad at something, right? We all have things that we're good at and bad at, but particularly that was the rumor I heard, that he was considered not cut out for policing, and they basically, someone higher up said, no, we don't care what you're saying, pushed him through, and look what's happened now. And so the thing that pisses me off about it is probably every other cop is, no one says, oh, the 30-year-old baker was charged with murder kind of thing. They don't raise their occupation as being specific to that thing, right? People commit murder every day. I think in Australia it's every second or third day. But they don't exclude people from wearing, like I said, use the term bakers. No one said you can't have bakers being a part of the Mardi Gras, right? They were happy to have police there protecting them from... There are people that are willing to partake in active hate crimes against the gay community. So they're happy to have the police there for that, but they didn't want them wearing a uniform. I mean, police were the ones that locked him up found him, did all the investigations and stuff. I'm like, to me, that was really, really hard. And I think really hard for gay police officers I feel like they were kind of rejected by their own community. And I felt like there's good and bad in every race, religion, organisation. People have the propensity to do bad things. But that doesn't seem to matter in cancel culture these days when someone's offended by something, that group's we tar everybody with that brush, It's the same as my big bugbear where it's like that stupid thing where, have you seen this thing on TikTok or Instagram where they ask women if they'd prefer to be stuck in the wild with a man or a bear? Yeah, and women go, I'd prefer to be stuck with a wild bear because the wild bear wouldn't rape and kill me. It's like, I'm not sure if you understand bears, right? Like, it's not every man that's going to do that. You know what I mean? Like, there's this thing where it's like, employ a little bit of critical thinking. Don't be a sheep, right? Just as I wouldn't say that you can't engage in stereotypes for certain elements of the community, you shouldn't engage in stereotypes at all. But they do. It's fine to engage in stereotypes if that somehow pushes your agenda, if that makes sense. It's my feeling anyway. We don't have Danny here to moderate me, so
I'm gonna just let him talk.
But yeah, it is a particular bugbear that cops always get picked on, and there's not anymore. There's not 16,000 anymore, but there were 16,000. Yeah. You mean there's you're gonna have show me another organisation with 16,000 people that doesn't have people getting charged.
I have a question actually about, I know you said it's a rumour, but let's say if there were so many people writing to someone in charge at the academy saying, look, this guy is not it, like he's, do you have, like in your head, are there any explanations as to why he would have been saying, oh, it's fine, like those letters would have been disregarded, even though he said, oh, I'm being targeted because I'm gay? Yep. Would that have been investigated at the academy in regards to, is he actually fit for the job?
Investigated properly is the question. Yeah. And there's I think it's very politically driven, right? There's two things. Potentially there was not enough, recruiting has been going down steadily. So there's a desire to just push bodies out on the street, right? And let the war of attrition, they'll go anyway if they're not good. But that's not necessarily the case. I think the greater idea there was they didn't want there to be any suggestion or taken to court or go through the rigmarole of, if this guy says he's gay and that's the reason he's being targeted, then we don't want to be seen to being not diverse and not inclusive. And I think that is, it's about perception. Now, I think the police force could make a very good argument. Well, look how many people in the police force actively identify as being homosexual. Yeah. And that's good. That's a good thing. Because you're homosexual doesn't mean that that's why you're being picked on. But they don't want to have that argument. And I'm not sure if he had, I think he had some kind of media presence or something, like he had worked in media or something before. So I think they were probably a little concerned about the image if he went to paper and started talking about that. And that's the real concern for me. Policing is not something where you should be terribly concerned about the optics as much as you're concerned about doing the right thing. Yeah. But you need, the thing where cops do a very bad job, in my opinion, and not cops on the street, the organisation, is they don't put out the good work that they do. They're too busy putting out fluff rather than showing this is the day-to-day work of the cops. I mean, I've seen some of the TikTok videos some of the law enforcement agencies have put out, and I am revolted at how they've trivialised and tried to make the cops look like it's Like, they're too busy putting cops out there dancing rather than going, here's the reality of what we do. And if you don't like the cops, they're a necessary evil. So suck it up, because unless you want to strap on the boots and the uniform and the gun and get out there and do it, you really just don't know what you're dealing with. So I take back to when I was, I think, late 80s, early 90s, there was this commercial I did for the cops and it had this "He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother" song in it. And I know anybody that's watching, listening, who's heard this, I think you still find it on YouTube, but it was really quite poignant, right? It's like, shows the cops had a car accident, then they go and do they go and give the death message. You know, there's a lady gets mugged in the street and they're in a foot pursuit and they're dealing with a brawl in the middle of like the city. There's a DV arrest that takes place, you know, but it was touching, and it showed you both the harsh side that police deal with and the human side that they have to connect with. And I'm like, resurrect that. Show the community that. We have cameras on every cop out there. Get the body worn out there. Give the community a taste of what the average cop deals with in a 4-day block. And let people understand it, and then you will get more people that want to do something joining up, and the community might have it, the broader community will have more respect, because there's a negative narrative that constantly plays now against police.
Yeah, I feel like, I guess social media has a big impact on that too, because now people can post whatever they want to post. And
that can be easily doctored.
Yeah. And I also feel like there is also the general idea where people assume that they kind of forget that cops are also people as well at the end of the day. And like you guys say in most of your videos, like, you guys work such stress, like big, high stress situations, and then you'll go from one job to another and you haven't really had time to process what had happened before, and you're only human, like, you'll make mistakes and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like it gets blown a bit out of proportion on social media. Yeah. And I also think it's really interesting. I think Danny has touched on this point before as well, where I feel like in Western cultures, obviously, like, you can voice your own opinions, and there's a big, like, very negative perception on cops. Whereas I feel like in non-Western cultures, like, there's a lot more respect put on to police.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's because, like, maybe Western cultures have a broader, like, bigger, like, more diverse community where there's different issues that people face, and there's a, history, But I don't know why that is, and I find it really, really interesting.
I think there's political agendas at play. If we don't see... Look, Australia has... we are influenced by British culture and American culture heavily because of our history. We're a very diverse nation. I think we're the second most diverse nation in the world outside of... when it comes to, like, number of nationalities that reside in our border, I think we're the second. And I look at America and I'm fascinated. I heard a study the other day that said there was, in a year, in America, there was over 10 million interactions, like police interactions and things like that took place. There was 12 deaths that were attributed to unarmed individuals. One of those, when they said unarmed, was being, like, the police had a car being driven at them. Oh. But he was unarmed, right? But no one gives there's actually a study that also went on and said, it was by an African-American, I think he was a criminologist or psychologist, and he said, all right, I'm going to go and get a team of researchers together. We're going to go out and work out if the narrative that black people are being killed in greater numbers by police exists. So I think it was a 2-3 year study. Came back, it was not the case. Actually, he said they were more likely to be roughed up by police, but less likely to be like shot and killed. So because he was concerned that what his results found were not correct, he then sacked his research team, brought in only African American researchers, ran it again. Same results. When he tried to publish that and put that out, he got shouted down and closed off because it did not fit the narrative. Now, what I'm saying there is clearly an agenda somewhere being pushed by some people, and I think there's a majority of the community that probably does support police but doesn't vocalize it because they're worried they don't know what the other person thinks. And there's people that have had bad interactions with the police that vocalize that a lot, but often because they've not been the greatest of people, or they kind of got mirrored to them what they did. So people say, oh, this cop was rude to me and this and that. Well, yeah, but were you rude to them? And maybe he's just a rude cop. But was it the fact that he's a cop that made him rude, or was he rude always and then he became a cop? Or did the uniform have anything to do with it at all? You don't know, but you say everybody sucks. Now, where does policing play into this? And my thing to cops out there is this. You're now struggling to recruit. You're now got less and less people, and more you're turning away. Like, give you an example. I've got a client that is a solicitor that is dealing with a AVO matter, and they have been to the police station. They got told they had to come in and give a statement. They've been to the police station 5 times in 5 days and got turned away every time.
Why?
Because
isn't
it
he
was,
just in for a statement?
it should be, no, the officer in charge has to take your statement. No, that's not the case. You can look at the event. You can do that. The officer in charge has been on shift and has not contacted them. You could say, send something to put something on the shift handover when this guy comes in, whatever else. This guy's a lawyer. He knows the law. He understands policing practice, but he's being turned away time and again. But is that guy who's a lawyer and has influence, is he going to now espouse how good the police are? Or is he going to go, well, I didn't get a good response from them? And it's not only that police say, no, it's not me, or it's not my job, or they try and turn people away. They don't explain why they're doing it. I understand that they're now really overworked. There is a whole bunch of work that they can't attend to. But rather than saying to them, I'm sorry, but you know what? We're at 60% staffing. I can't keep up with what I've got. I don't know what to do. And if I take your job on, it's just one more thing. They try to kind of pull the wool over their eyes so they can mask what's going on. Where really, if they said, this is the process we can go through, I don't think you're going to get a good result. I'm going to do a hell of a lot of work and I've got a bunch of other stuff to do. But it's up to you. Give them the choice and let them make that decision. Number one. Number two, if you're an officer and you're stuck in this position, put it on your supervisors, supervisors put it on your duty officers put it on your superintendents, and so on and so forth. Okay, here's the amount of work I've got to do. What do you want me to prioritize? This goes to court tomorrow, this goes to court next week, there's jobs on the radio, these are the briefs I need to do. What do you want me to do? Send that to me in an email so I have it as a direction, and I will attend to that. It takes some balls to do, but at the position we're in now, where I'm hearing, very numbers between 400 and 600 New South Wales police just walked off the job in the last 4 weeks. That's where you're at. I was talking to someone yesterday from a Northern Command, and they say they are approximately 40% capacity. 40% capacity for an area that's vast and doesn't have a lot of resources at all. So, from the inside of the cops, you need to work to be able to say to the community, this is what we're doing, this is why we're struggling. I mean, nurses have been going on strike saying, hospital ramping is an issue, we understaffed, overworked. The cops aren't doing that. Mind you, I'm not seeing a hell of a lot of work from the association either to push that out, which I'm bemused. I don't understand how the association isn't like ringing the bell out there and saying this is where we're at. But Maybe I'm just missing it.
Do you think with the police shortage and I guess the academy trying to recruit more people, do you think that it will attract the wrong people to join the police force?
I don't think. I know. They've got to reduce the standards. They've already called people that they once sacked and said maybe, and this is what I'm being told. So let me rephrase and say, I'm told that they've already called people that they've asked to leave and said, your infractions weren't that bad. Do you want to come back? They've called people that were deemed unfit before for the academy and then said, oh, that's okay. We can squeeze you in. So that means we're on a slippery slope where policing doesn't get better.
Yeah, and it's just this
getting
cycle of like what someone else, like a cop does something else that's not good for the community,
right.
and then the media pushes it out again, and then it goes back into like
100%.
No one likes the cops. Because I can say I know this one girl who I went to school with. I'm not friends with her, but I was told that she had become a cop, and I was speaking to one of my close friends about it, and I said there is absolutely no way she's a police officer because at school I didn't think she was the nicest. And I'm like, and now she's a cop?
Yeah.
And also, she wasn't, at least in my opinion, I didn't think she was the brightest when it comes to a lot of things. And we were talking, she's like, yeah, like, and now she's not even, I don't think she's even like, I think she's on leave or something because she like tore her like ACL or something like that. Mm-hmm. But I was just thinking in my head, like, I'm like, there is no way that these are the people that are meant to be serving and protecting the community.
And policing has come a long way from 70s and 80s. Yeah. The amount of legislation and technology and things like that you need to be across, yet you still need to be fit and strong and capable. You're really asking for a unique subsection of the community. Yeah, how many people do you know can contemplate the ramifications of laws one way or another in a split-second situation whilst having that clear mind, being able to process all that information and also physically fit enough to be able to implement an arrest or, save someone or do whatever. We're struggling as a community to bring the type of people we need. And then the commissioner has the audacity to say, but you're very well paid. Very well paid, you're paid slightly above the average wage. The average wage in Australia, they say, is 100,000. I'm not sure if 120,000 is killing it.
Yeah.
When
on top of that, you guys have so much. You guys see so many things that the average person doesn't see on a day-to-day basis, and you guys see it all
You're basically
the time.
giving up physical health and mental health to go and do that. A stack of weekends, shortening your life through the shift work, which is proven through many statistics. And giving yourself a higher chance of divorce and missing out on a bunch of stuff with your family. No, hang on, why are you joining the cops again? This is... Yeah.
I'm doing a research paper. It's a proposal for one of my assignments, and I'm looking into like mental health and cops because I was like, you know what, police shortage, let me have a look at the mental health aspect of things. And it is like the statistics that come out of it is insane, but also I feel like there's such a it's quite limited in that area of research.
Yep.
But it's really interesting reading up on that kind of stuff. But
yeah.
Anyways, moving on.
Next question.
Someone has asked, what about the relationship between security and policing, having cross jobs quite often and dealing with a lot of similar stuff? I think this was from, I don't think it was from a Q&A episode. I think it was from the police rivalry episode that we had.
Yeah, right. I think there's different categories of security guards.
Really?
As in, what I mean is like in my head when I think about it, there's the guys that want to kind of come up to you, guys and girls that want to tell you like, samesies. I'm like, not necessarily.
Oh, my bad. I thought you meant different categories of like...
I
had a different idea. And I was like, really? Sorry.
No. But like there are some uber professional security guards who have often military law enforcement backgrounds or have done a crap load of training and they're in the high end and elite element of security. They're different, right? So in that regards, I give you that. There are the guys, though, that they'll see you and they want to come up because they wear a uniform and you wear a uniform. They're like, samesies. You know, we kind of do the same thing. We're pretty much brothers in arms. I'm like, no, not really. I respect what you do. Necessary job. Important job. But also, no, we're not the same. There are those guys that are... And for those guys are often, they're compensating for something, you know what I mean? Like they joined security because they couldn't become a cop. That's worrisome. There are those guys in security that are really good to work with, that are just like, we know our job, we know you've got your job, work together, let's work together, get it done as a team, and make this work together. They're the best security guards to work with. Because you do often have interactions with them and things like that. And when everybody knows their job and knows their boundaries, that's really important. And people treat each other just like other people rather than, you know, trying to like, I'm better than you or I've got to prove to you who I am or whatever. I don't care. You know, they've done what they've done. I've done what I've done. It's not a measuring competition at all. I'm not worried. Just do your job. Then there are the other type of security guards that kind of like stay well away from you because I don't know if they feel like they're intimidated or they hate cops or whatever else. But I haven't generally had a problem with security guards. Like I said, Danny would call them the tackleberries, you know, the first one. Like, yeah, we're the same. And there was this one time and I like put a guy on the ground. I'm like, yeah. So you done that much? Oh, I did that once. Yeah, that was like 8 years ago. I was like, me or my team, any like, geez, when I started in the cops, you'd wrestle once a day, minimum, right? Like, you always taking someone back. Someone always put a stink on. It was daily. I remember someone said to me once, like, you wouldn't use your handcuffs that much. I'm like, no, every day. Like, really? I'm like, yeah, if I didn't use them at least a couple of times in a block. But how and why? I'm like, we're locking up offenders. And they turn it on. And like, not everybody just goes, okay, officer, I'm going to hop in the back of the truck now. Thank you. Can we stop at Macca's on the way back to the station? I really need a Slurpee. I don't know. They're like, nah, I don't feel like going to jail today. Let's go. And that's it. I've got one nemesis security guard guy that talks himself up at every opportunity. He even appears on TV now. Really? Now and then. Oh, I don't even get me started.
Are we name dropping?
No, we're not. But
not getting cancelled today.
Yeah, I won't say. But this guy's on Facebook and he's like, oh, the anniversary of this time when I put someone down after like this soccer game or whatever else, and defensive tactics really work. Why is that a post on social media, you idiot? So you got in a tussle with someone. And from what he said, it was like 2-on-1. Like, it wasn't like he was dealing with a man mountain and it was this he's some puny little guy and he was like David and Goliath and battled for 10 minutes and everybody stood around chanting and they were in an octagon or something, you know, like, but yeah, that's the mentality of look at me, you know, I've done battle on the streets. Oh, F off. I don't care. Like, you're just a small individual. But yeah, no, honestly, it's like everybody else in the community. They're good, they're bad, and they're in between. So you stick with the good ones and you let the bad ones fall to the wayside and just avoid them next time you go to that place.
Fair enough. We had another comment on the same video about police rivalries.
Yeah.
Someone had said there were so many more other rivalries in the cops.
I know. Oh, we miss so many. Danny and I suck as humans. I know.
It's a shame that Danny's not here to talk about the rivalries more. It's just me. Sorry, guys.
Right, so what was they did a bunch.
They did a list.
What was the first one they did?
It was TOU versus Paws.
All right. Okay. So let's break this down one by one. For those of you that aren't from New South Wales and don't know, TOU is Tactical Operations Unit. PAWS is Public Order Response Squad or section or whatever. It's PAWS, Public Order Response. So you see guys often go to pause trying to get to TOU, right? TOU is like SWAT team and pause is like crowd control and riot control and stuff. Then they brought in for pause, long arm training, and kind of like doing search. They brought in this search warrant model where high risk search warrants got done by TOU, lower risk search warrant entries got done by pause, lower again search warrant entries got done by like region squads, and they've all had different levels of training and stuff like that. And so then pause were often, there's more of them and they're more often out and about dealing with public order issues and just, search warrants and brawls and stuff. So they're always out and about. So then when a job like a barricade situation comes up or something where TOU would respond, pause are often there first. And then it's not, I don't want to say it's all of pause. It's again, certain individuals are like, oh, this is bullshit. We're better than TOU. We're as good as TOU. We can do that stuff. Like, actually, no, you probably can't. No disrespect, but TOU like the average operator in TOU gets $1 million on like 12 months and $1 million worth of training spent on them minimum before they're actually in a team and operating. They've gone through a more rigorous process than you go through for pause to get there. They're doing water ops. They're doing they're shooting multiple times a week, just keeping their skills up. Doing driving, like it's just amazing what they do. Like they do a hell of a lot of stuff. They're very good at what they do. That's their world. Pause is, look, you don't call TOU out to do riot control either, and pause are often like, they're the more highly trained cousin of, uniform cops that turn up and they've got the equipment, they've got the guys that are usually fitter, the guys that are willing to go toe to toe and don't take a backward step. They've definitely got their place. But there is that rivalry between some of them, and it probably stems from the guys that wanted to be part of that again and didn't make it. But they both play a very important role. Interestingly enough, there is politics and everything, and nowadays we have police with thigh holsters or drop holsters. So, when you look at uniform police, you see them, they've got the gun seems to sit on their thigh. Yeah. Well, tactical cops, so TOU and whatnot, have had that for years and years and years. The reason why you have that holster, and I'm not a weapons trainer, guys, so please excuse me, but it's a better position to draw from. It puts if someone tries to take your firearm, it puts them off balance because they've got to reach lower. It doesn't offset your hips as much. Because when it's on the belt and it sticks in the car seats and things, it kind of pushes you off. It's better, right? Because your hands don't sit up by your hips, they sit by your thighs. So there's been many arguments for why every cop should have had access to a thigh holster. But what I got told was two reasons why that wasn't brought in earlier was, one, because the uniform committee was concerned it would look too authoritarian and tactical, and they didn't want that vibe for police. I think if someone gets a firearm taken off them or a police officer dies because it's taken them too long to draw, and we're talking milliseconds sometimes, that's a greater concern. And the second reason was because, the hierarchy of TOU, as I was told, well, that's our domain. That's what we use. You guys can't have that. Now, whether that's true or not, I can't say, but it rings true to my experience in the cops. So, it's a little bit, everybody has their domain. What's the next one that we supposedly missed? We did miss.
Pause versus RES.
Res. Yeah. Okay, so this is an extension of that. There's the regional enforcement squads are kind of like pause, but they're attached to the region, not the state.
Oh, okay, right.
So they do the same training, but when I said there's like TOU and pause, and then there's the region, that's RES, Regional Enforcement Squads. And so pause, I don't think Regional Enforcement Squad have access to long arms, guys that conned in and out and do whatever. And they kind of get the search warrants that pause don't want to do. and pause kind of, there's always that, even though they've done much of the same training, there's but we're full time in this unit, we cover the state, we're the big dogs. You guys, you do the smaller search warrants, we're better than you. Like, again, keep it in your pants, just, do what you need to do, but the rivalry is a bit ridiculous, but it is there. Yeah. But again, I think it's personality based as much as anything else.
Yeah, that's so fair. I think there was a few more, but I want to move on to areas. Bankstown versus Campsie.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm so annoyed. Danny's not here, so I want you to have beef.
If we don't have beef, and this is a stupid thing.
I can't bring the beef in because I don't know what's going on.
Let me tell you, this is personality driven.
Yeah.
100%. I'll tell you why. I went to Campsie, and I came from state crime, and everybody's like, oh, Bankstown suck, and I'm like, why? Oh, and no one can really give you this reason. They're like, oh, there was this one job and they did this and there's this, and then you speak to the guys from Bankstown, like, bloody Campsie suck, and I'm like, why? Oh, well, we're always smashed and they don't help us out and stuff. I'm like, oh, fair enough. And Bankstown were busier than Campsie. That's a given. But I set out to change that a bit. So when I heard they were getting smashed, I'd ring them up. I'd ring supervisor and go, mate, Campsie 14, what do you need? These are the cars I got spare. Do you need a car? I'll send someone over to help out. Or I know it's just, I had a look at the CADs, so the jobs coming in. I know all your cars are tied up. Like, you hear 14 and 10, like the duty officer and the supervisor going to jobs. I'm like, I'll send you a car crew, or what do you need from me? And sometimes the guys are like, no, we don't need anything, mate. We're good. Don't worry. Sometimes they're like, yeah, if you got a car, any of the double beepers, like the urgent jobs, get them to respond to that. Everything else we'll manage, but yeah, the priority jobs, if you can look after that. I had jobs where I just didn't wait. They call an urgent job and they were, call it once and no one picked up. Yeah. And then they went again and I'd just pick up and go, oh, Campsie 14, I'll make my way.
Oh, that's nice of you.
But my other car crews would do the same thing, right? And I was acting DO for a time when we were looking after Bankstown and Campsie at the same time as the DO. So I knew the Bankstown guys and they worked hard, and I knew the Campsie guys, they worked hard. Yes, Bankstown had a higher workload, but there was specific people that liked to create the issue, right? And then when new people come in, they just get told that Campsie suck or Bankstown suck. And they look for, you're kind of predisposing them to hate. And you even had the crooks pick up on it because they'd try and play you with this thing. Oh. And it was so stupid. They're like, where are you from? You're from Campsie. Oh, you're not as tough as Bankstown. I'm like,
I like that they try and get in your head.
Yeah, try and bang you. I'm like, mate,
that's so funny.
I don't really care. But, when you have to go in the back of the truck, you turn it on and we'll see who fights. But at the end of the day, we all throw you in, right? I know there were some people at Bankstown that were mad fighters and put anybody down. I know there were people at Campsie like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's this bullshit. And that's really what it is. It's ego and petty people that get in the way of it. So I never really bought into the Campsie versus Bankstown, as that person puts in there, the Springfield versus Shelbyville.
Yeah, that one, yeah.
Thing. I don't, and great Simpsons reference, by the way, but I didn't buy into it. I don't think it exists because you let it exist. And you need to have a good relationship with the people in your command. Like on your radio channel, like who border you. You all wear the same uniform. And that's, I think, the thing about the rivalries is, just know your audience. Know that people don't look at you most of the time and go, that's a Campsie car, that's a Bankstown car. Yeah. It's like, we hate cops. You're a cop, right? That's what it is. So, yeah.
Yeah. There was also the Goldin Academy versus policing Rivalries.
100%. Yes, I'm on this.
Did you guys see how excited he got?
Yes.
I'm on.
Because, oh man, all right. I remember it is true because there's a lot of people that go to Goldin because they basically want to retire from policing and they want to go and teach at the academy and tell all these poor young impressionable people all their war stories and talk themselves up. But then they've got to teach the policy or they've given up on policing and I won't say which, but there's a particular element of instructors at Goldin. I'm like, well, you talk about all this mad stuff and whatever else, except you gave it up, right? If you're the gun, you've gone and left it, right? Like, yeah. So, excuse me.
Still can't believe you use a hanky.
Hay fever season, what can I say? It's killing me. And I've had my meds too, trying to get rid of it. Yeah, so you come out of the academy, you think you've been told everything, and you get to a station, you're like, oh, you don't believe that. That's BS. That's not right. That's not right. And that would be right, except for the fact that we don't have the resources to do any of that. So make do. My particular thing was I was a sergeant and I went back to the academy for a drive. I was doing the driver training course, so to be a FTO DD. And while I'm down there, I've gotten a head cold and I'm just been stuck in a room and I'm living on, you stay on campus and you've got to wear, they have these stupid rules about wearing your hat everywhere. I never liked wearing the hat. I thought they looked stupid. I didn't agree with this psychological theory of headdress makes you, like more prominent and people respect headdress. I'm like, no, actually, how do you build rapport with someone when you're like hiding under a visor or something, anyway. So I never really dug the hat situation. And so I've got this head cold, like stuff's just pouring out of me and I've been sitting in a classroom all day and going to lunch and I've forgotten my hat. And this sergeant, who was a sergeant and there when I went through some bloody 12 years before, comes up to me and goes, you're not wearing your hat. I'm like, yep. Good observation. And he's like, you're supposed to wear your hat. I'll let it go this time. And I went, well, you've got 3 stripes, right? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, same. Really? Go away. I was like, and people said he was a nice guy, but he's just like had a bugbear for that kind of shit. I'm like, you can see, like, I've got a nose like Rudolph by this stage. I'm going through handkerchiefs and tissues like, and I'm just, when you look at someone, you're like, that guy's got a head cold. And
Yeah.
I just let it go, mate. Yeah. Like,
it really does give the school no hat, no play kind of vibe.
Oh, yeah.
But also, do you find it hard? I don't know, maybe this is just me and it's different for everyone, like people are different, right? But like, do you find it when you're at the academy, did you find it hard where you're being told almost like what to do and you kind of think like, I'm an adult and you're being told like, oh, wear your hat. Like, oh, where's your this? Where's your that?
I think when I was a student at the academy, no, I had no problem with it. Like I didn't love it. Yeah. Like, and they had things like you got to carry your bag in your left hand. Yeah. Right. Yeah. But for a lot of those things, there's a reason that's done, and it's about trying to mold you into a particular person that fits the culture that is required. And by that I mean, if you're a soldier and you get told to go take that hill, you don't asking the question why at times is the wrong response. The response has to be, I have faith in my leaders. They tell me to take that. That's important ground. I have to go. And so you need that at times in the cops because specifically, and I've had those instances when I was a leader and I just had to say to people, go get that guy. There's no time to say why or what for or anything. It's like, get him, bring him back here now. He's got to go. If you had the person that questions everything, but why? So then you have to explain what the offence is and whatever else. But we're talking like things move very quickly. You don't have that. But then when you leave and you've been indoctrinated into that culture and that lifestyle and you understand its merits, then you still require, you've got to wear hats and stuff like this and stupid uniform things and carry your bag in the left hand. It's like, they used to send someone through to make sure that the guys weren't drinking. So you could be a confirmed police officer that's down there for a course on a Friday night, right? Yeah. And they walk through the different establishments. They'd have someone like in the housing accommodation. Yeah. So there's no students there. Yeah. You've been entrusted with a gun. You've been entrusted with other people's lives, but you can't drink on campus in a common room that is, and it's all like, it's not co-ed, so it's all like blokes in your section. Or females or whatever else, like what's going to happen? And if it does happen, they've got security on site. And if it does happen, it's going to jeopardize your job. So you're not going to be too stupid for most people. And there wasn't even like a leeway of I can have a couple of drinks. And I don't drink, it doesn't worry me, but I was kind of like, you're paying someone to walk around and check this.
Yeah. Like it kind of feels like, oh.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, and that's I think one of those things that Danny points towards when he says treating cops like children.
Yeah, I was going to say, it gives very like school camp kind of thing. Like, oh, you use your lights off. It's 9 p.m. kind of thing, Yeah. So, yes. Were there any others in there that I mentioned? I can't remember. Look, we get a lot of comments. Some of them are just not. Some of them are interesting. But so far, these are the ones that have been at the top. But I think if anyone else has any other questions, feel free to send them through. You can just DM them to us straight away. And then we could do another Q&A episode, hopefully with
Danny next time.
Yeah. Just tell me you hate me, it's fine.
I would never say that. I would never say that. My great concern is that people heard my voice at the beginning, realised Danny wasn't here, and they've not made it to this point.
Yeah, and they've just switched up, being like, who's this? And just switched it off. I'll find out who it is. I'll find you guys.
I can't guarantee Danny will be back next week. He should be. I think he flies back into the country this week. But hopefully next week he's here.
Yes. If not, you guys might see me again.
Yeah.
Don't be too upset about that.
Yeah, yep. And she can regale you with her dating stories. As we've previously had before, because let me tell you, that's usually 20 minutes of my Monday morning that I never get back. So, well, team, thank you for listening to us for this long. Jenny, thank you for jumping into the breach and taking over Danny's spot for at least one episode.
Anytime.
And big thank you also. Jenny does, as I said, all the production, so she's often working late and trying to fix all the technical difficulties we had at different times. As always, we are sponsored by our company, Precision Integrity, and also IC Technology. So guys, if you need anything, feel free to reach out to us at Precision Integrity, or as you said, on the DMs in Insta or TikTok or YouTube, or just write a comment and we will come back to you. Have a good day. Stay safe, everyone. Bye-bye.